Hey guys, what's up? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to give you guys a summertime tip that very few people know about, and that is fishing floating worms in the summer, specifically in the late summer, August and September, because I think a lot of people think the floating worm, when they think about it, it's a springtime deal. But I'm going to show you guys, explain to you guys how to fish them in the summer, what to look for to catch summer bass on them. But hey, real quick, just a few housekeeping tips here. Just wanted to remind everybody, my weekly reminder that I'm offering memberships to the channel. If you guys would like to go further and support the channel, you can go on the About section of my YouTube page, click on Intuitive Memberships, and to become a member, you get like additional videos every week, sometimes access to my personal email address for your fishing questions on certain memberships, just a lot of good stuff there. And also just want to invite everybody to check out the fishthemoment.com page and check out our lake map breakdowns that Johnny and I are doing on lakes across the country. So much appreciated on that. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about floating worms here, which are one of my favorite lure categories to fish. I just love floating worms. I've had a lot of success with them. I've had a lot of good tournaments with them. I've come close to winning some tournaments. I won a couple tournaments on them, you know, with incorporating them in the game plan I was using. And for the most part, that has been in the spring, although I did actually, you know, almost win the Bass Megabucks tournament on a floating worm in late September, early October. But what I want to talk about today is an overlooked technique that most people don't consider when they're thinking about floating worms, and that's fishing them in the summertime of the year. Here's the deal, guys, with the summertime floating worms. This is another little piece of juice and secret I'm going to give you guys, is most people know when you get into August and September, specifically September, sometimes it can be August depending upon the lake that you're fishing, it normally gets tough. You know, water's hot, a lot of times the water's falling, the fish are just sort of in that, they call it the dog days of August, and that's for a reason. It just gets hard to catch fish. I'm going to guess that August and September are two of the toughest months of the year to catch bass in about any lake that you go to, unless you go up north in the Great Lakes and that type of stuff. But anywhere else, it's really tough. But one of the best techniques for late summer fishing in fall time is that's when they start biting topwaters a little bit. Walking topwaters, buzz baits, you know, frogs, that type of stuff. So there's a population, or there's a certain population or portion of the population of the bass in any lake that begin to move really shallow in August and September. So you got some bass that stay deep, but there are some that are moving shallow. A lot of these fish are up there looking for spawn and perch and taking advantage of the better oxygen contents. So anyway, the floating worm, guys, most people think it's just a springtime deal when the fish are on the spawn, but I'm going to tell you guys how to fish this thing to catch bass with it in the summertime. Go into the type of areas where you're normally catching your topwater fish early in the morning, or even like in the fall time, a little bit in the early fall, later in the day. Any type of water that you catch topwater fish in. This could be main lake points, it could be secondary points, it could be over grass beds, it could be the back of coves, riprap, whatever. The key that you want to do on this is you rig it just like you normally do a floating worm, but you burn it across the water, and that's the big secret. So what you want to do, and I would show you on the lake, but it's going to storm today, so I couldn't get out of the lake. But what I do is I take a spinning rod, my same 6'10" Megabass whip snake spinning rod, and I put straight braid on it. This is one of the few times I do use braid on spinning tackle. I put a 15-pound test Seaguar Smackdown braid, 3/0 straight shank hook, and I throw it out there. As soon as it hits the water, I just start shaking it real fast like that and just reeling it fast, and the thing's just skittering across the surface like that. It's just sort of just going crazy all across the surface. I don't let it get under the surface but maybe an inch and pop it back out there. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reel the worm across the surface the same way that it would mimic like if I was fishing a popper or a walking bait or a buzz bait, something like that, a fairly fast moving topwater. And what this does is draws fish, it draws a reaction strike from the bass in that shallow water that would normally not hit a regular, you know, more larger type of a topwater that telegraphs itself. A couple of elements you need to have on this is you need to have some fairly clear water. I like to have water visibility you know, 3 feet or more. You know, it works really good in sort of that 3 to 5 foot visibility, which is common on some of the lower end of the lakes. But it's just a cover and water technique. A lot of the colors don't really matter. You know, I really like bubble gum this time of year simply because it shows up, and I'm trying to get the attention of that bass by reeling it real fast. But the thing that you want to remember is when you're retrieving this thing, like I said, use it on a spinning rod, because with the braid you can cast it for a mile and you can get the action. And just keep your rod tip like at 11 or 12 o'clock, straight up high like that, and just twitch it while you're reeling it fast like that. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that bait to always be creating commotion on the surface, because even though we call these floating worms, if you guys fish these much, you know you don't fish them really on the top in the spring. Most of the time they're subsurface, sort of like a soft plastic jerkbait. They're just underwater, and a lot of times it's slow. You're going boo, you know, just like that. It's just like sort of this real slow motion action in the water. But in the summertime of the year, speed these things up where they're burning across the surface, and it really generates that reaction strike from those shallow water bass in clear water. So guys, just give it a try. Next time you guys are out, if you get out early in the morning, or if there's a topwater bite going all day long, or if you have clear water, put you on a floating worm, rig it up, fish it fast. Like I said, I almost won the Bass Megabucks tournament. I was leading the tournament on a floating worm going into the last day of the tournament. Lost some big ones on it, all on a floating worm, all in clear water, fall time conditions. So anyway, that's today's tip. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if it works for you. And thanks again for tuning in. See you.